Hey, it's Outlaw Bookseller again, and I'm on the mean streets of Bristol. I'm walking along Welsh Back. I don't know why it's called Welsh Back. I've got a Welsh front to myself and a Welsh back. And I am on the trail of something. I do get hauntological when I'm in Bristol, but I'm actually going to have a look at a second-hand bookshop, which is called Beware of the Leopard, from a line, of course, in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. We don't normally endorse Douglas Adams, but it is quite a funny name for a bookshop, so we'll see. This is day 4 of my 9-day holiday. This is the first day I have to myself. Well, until this evening. I'm going out this evening. It'll turn out I have 1 day to myself, completely out of 9. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. A lot of that's because the channel obviously still keeping filming and stuff and what have you. And as I say, we're in the St Nicholas Market part of Bristol. And you won't be open until 10, and I'm about 5 minutes early, so you'll have to hang around a bit. And this is Beware of the Leopard. We'll just show you the window. Easily the best second-hand bookshop in central Bristol. There aren't many, of course. I was hoping to go to Dreadnought Books today, but they don't open on a Tuesday. They do Wednesday to Saturday, the lightweights, but we'll go down there again. Yeah, this has been here quite a few years. Last time I was here, I was talking to the owner about Richard Stark. He often has some vintage paperbacks in the window. Here's a couple here. Anthony Sterling and Edwin West. Edwin West, that's familiar. I've got a feeling that might be Donald E. Westlake, but I'm not entirely sure. So I'll ask him when we go in. There used to be a lot more second-hand bookshops in Bristol. Now there's not so many, same as everywhere else. And as ever, I'm pretty much on the lookout for science fiction in A format paperback. I've sold a bit on eBay this weekend. I've done about 100 quid on eBay in the last week or so, which is really good, about 60 quid over the weekend. So I am thinking about moving back to hardcovers, as I bought a lot of paperbacks recently, and it's kind of time for me to get back into looking at hardcovers. Now, of course, I do buy online, but there's quite a good stock here, very reasonable prices as well, I find. Condition obviously is always, this is interesting. John Dennis Goliath with a Chris Foss cover. Now that's not a science fiction novel, it's a thriller apparently. And there's Collins by the look of it, but very, very nice indeed. So it's only £1. Okay, well, it says it's not science fiction, but it looks like science fiction to me. Yeah, adventure novel, but yeah, with an SF conceit, so we might actually go for that, you never know. So just showing where it was here. I have actually already made a purchase, which I'm going to show you when I have a coffee, and then I might come back later on and have a second look. There's a Millington copy of Flux and the Tin Angel by Ron Goulart. It seems to be quite a common book. I tried to read this a while ago and didn't really get on with it. I had a Door one. I say I had it, I still have it. All sorts of things here. With me, as you know, I'm always looking at condition. And there's a Mick Farren book that I don't know. Okay. Conflagration. Sequel to Kindling. I don't know that at all. Christopher Fowler's Roof World in Legend, which means it is the real thing, not a book club edition. I used to have one of those. Sold that for about 50 quid some years ago. Last time I was here, I bought a paperback original of Caraval by Christopher Fowler. B format paperback in wraps, very nice, £3, very uncommon book. Here's somebody enamoured of one of the Britain's most famous SF YouTubers who shall remain nameless here, but if he watches, I'm sure he'll enjoy seeing those. Always goes on about Master of Paperbacks. Personally, I'd go with the Eye of the Queen. Graham Dunstan Martin, Scots SF and horror writer. So as you see, lots and lots of nice stuff here. Right down in the corner here is a copy of The Boat of Fate by Keith Roberts, his only pure historical novel, set in Roman Europe. Very, very good book indeed. Quite uncommon. Very rare to find that in great condition. I'm going to scan up and we're going to miss out the crime at the bottom. Michael Scott Rohan and MacDonald. I do like these old MacDonald books. Now, if that was a first volume, I'd consider getting it. I tend to buy first volumes of series, as I say. But very nice. Pamela Sargent, Show of Women. I need a copy of that, but there's no price on it. And as I say, I've already made a purchase, so I may be back for another one. So this is today's score from Beware of the Leopard. An excellent to near fine copy, first edition of 334 by Thomas M Disch, published by McKibben and Gee, maybe. It's related to Granada. So there you go, Nebula Award nominee. Fantastic novel. Much, much cheaper than anywhere on the internet. Take a look on AB Books and you'll see what I mean. I'm outside Stanford's in Corn Street now, which is basically a travel bookshop. It gets more like a general bookshop every time I go here. It's still great for maps though. They have accounts of map publishers from all over the world, people you never see otherwise, maybe even online in the UK. So it's well worth a visit if you want some decent overseas maps. I think I said last time I saw this sign that I use books to escape into reality metaphorically as opposed to from reality. I'm very pleased with that Thomas M Disch score. I mean, the first edition of 334. You know, anything under 100 quid, and that was well below that, believe you me, below even 50. And that's sort of well worth getting. I mean, I'm a really big Disch fan. It's a very hard book to find in good nick. You occasionally see it in an absolute state because most of them went to libraries. And you know, Disch is important to me because I'm a solid new wave guy. And you know, face it, I'm never going to get a hardcover first of The Genocides because that's just like hundreds and hundreds of pounds. They do have another one there, which I'm thinking about, which is a very good price. It is a leaning spine, but recently I found a method to cure the worst leans using rubber bands. So I'm just going to have a think about that. As I say, they only take cash, so, you know, which is slightly, you know, non-21st century, but it's a good little shop, as you can see. So I'm going to have to think about that. I'll take a stroll up to the Last Bookshop for a minute before I do anything else and have a think about that, because they often have decent remainders. I'm around the back of the Hippodrome now. I used to work in Bristol, just around the corner at College Green. I worked in a bookshop there for about 2.5 years. I was assistant manager. A friend of mine was the manager. We'd worked together years before that, previously in Bath. He was a great guy. He taught me a lot about books, and I was already a great bookseller by the time I met him, of course, but he was older than me. He taught me a lot about poetry and history, and you know, you've got to be ready to pick this stuff up off people who know, you know. It's important you listen to the experience of, you know, booky people from the past, because they often know their stuff. This old building on the left always gets me. It's been sort of, I think, made over into flats now, but I think it used to be a prison, but sort of really stentorian. And going down this little street here, this is a quick cut through so I can go up to the Last Bookshop on Park Street. There's something in this street which I always find amusing, and I'm going to show you now. I guess amusing is the wrong word. I suppose it should be haunting, because it has a special resonance for me, and I love a resonance with anybody else who's a fan of Nigel Neal, who I think there was a centenary of his birth the other day. We'll just have a look now and I'll show you exactly what it is. It's this sign on the wall here. Yeah, as you see, Hobbs Lane, and of course there's a Hobbs Lane, or is it Hobbs End, in Quatermass and the Pit. And there's two signs, and Quatermass points out the older one, which is just H-O-B, Hob, and he mentions that it was the ancient name for the devil. So I always think of Quatermass and the Pit whenever I walk down here. Park Street. I went to my first ever specialist SF shop here way back in the very early 80s. which is forever people. I bought a load of Harlan Ellison paperbacks in Ace. They later moved up the street. They closed down in the late 90s. Great shop. Sadly, we have nothing like that anymore. Hardly anywhere. We have Forbidden Planet here and there, and you know, that's mostly toys and comics. Books are poorly represented these days. I have a theory about Banksy, which is the only reason he's popular is that he does graffiti art. Because he's pretty much a one-trick pony, really. His jokes are pretty much all the same. He reminds me of Magritte that way, but not as sharp and intelligent. And as I say, I'm convinced he's only popular because he's a graffiti artist. Of course, there's plenty of real graffiti down there. So I am thinking about going back to Beware the Leopard. We'll have to find an ATM if I want to buy anything. And God, they're like hen's teeth now. So I'll be guided, I think, by what I discover at the Last Bookshop, maybe. A sign indicating folk horror, perhaps. Okay, so here's the Last Bookshop, fairly decent remainder shop. All books £3, which that's entirely true. You can usually pick up Masterworks here, very cheap. Cheaper than I can get them on my staff discount. But the thing is, some of them are print on demand. You can tell when they're print on demand because they have much shinier and cheaper laminates on the cover as opposed to a matte laminate. But we'll go and have a look. So here's the SF and Fantasy Bay, as you can see, at the very wonderful Last Bookshop, Park Street, Bristol. And so you can pick up lots of nice things here in new condition for a mere £3. And I think I'm probably going to have that John Crowley Little Big, which I used to have and got rid of. That was a bit of a fail. There's a Greg Egan there. Not sure about that. It's a possibility. So these are mostly books I have, but you know, there's some nice stuff here. You see this, these editions from the old Gollancz Space Opera series. It's Centauri device by John Harrison. These are long out print, really nice covers. I wish I bought more of them. There were 8 in the series. They had a thing for a few years where they would do 8 in a special livery. If you want to read a really good fantasy novel, beautifully written, Patricia McKillip, Forgotten Beasts of Eld, that's a good one. Really don't like this cover on Canticle for Libo. It's the worst cover it's ever had. But yeah, I might pick up a couple of things here. I've not read this by Emma Newman. I've read the others and I really enjoyed those. They're really good. She's one of the best contemporary British SF writers. Really, really good. So we might pick up some other stuff here. Strugatsky Brothers. There's more Strugatsky Brothers in print now than there has been ever in the UK. Trouble is they don't seem to be getting into mainstream bookshops, which is a shame. There's a Tom Toner book there, Weight of the World. So there you go. Right, now the wall here at the Last Bookshop is decorated with brown paper bags with portraits of authors done by the customers. And you know, there's the usual people, but there's Kurt Weill. I mean, that's unusual. John Cooper Clarke. More importantly, Harlan Ellison. There we go, somebody who really hasn't had a book in print in the UK for ages. There's China Miéville. That's a good one of China, I have to say. Not somebody I'm massively keen on as a writer. Nietzsche, Blaise Cendrars. I mean, who's read Blaise Cendrars? I know I haven't, if anybody else has, but obviously somebody else has. And they have had copies of his books here in the Pete Rowan editions many times over the years. So there you go. Spot your favourites. Fantastic, eh? Camus, Tove Jansson, there's Kurt Vonnegut there. That looks like Zizek at the bottom. Marvellous. I suppose I should go into Forbidden Planet, though for books these days it's pretty much a non-starter. Of course, the foundation of science fiction is the written word, but you'll struggle to find any books in the window of Forbidden Planet. Okay, well, there's a display for Ben Aranovich, but I mean, this is totally vanilla. You can get Ben Aranovich anywhere. You know, and okay, if you want to read him, that's fine, but you know, it's not exactly hardcore specialism, is it? Well, that was pretty bad. I think I'm going to avoid the conservative contemporary that's out there in the genre at the moment, and I'm going to go back to the avant-garde difficult of the past. Time for more Thomas M Disch, I think. Okay, so after being confronted with the terror of the contemporary at Forbidden Planet, I went back to Beware of the Leopard, and I picked up this other Thomas M Disch. This is Camp Concentration, which of course is his most celebrated novel. This is a first as well, Hart Davis, and it's a bit of a faded spine. This is the original sort of plastic on the jacket. I'm going to recover that and do some cleanup work. And the book itself had a leaning spine, so it was actually pretty cheap, because normally this is really expensive. So I'm using this method of the double rubber band, which I'll leave on there for about 24 to 48 hours to see if that cures it of the lean. And obviously this is, you know, another really rare book, very collectible. But as I say, I got really good prices on both the dishes, and they threw in this copy of Goliath by John Dennis, which was only priced at £1, but they threw that in for me, which was really good. So I'm going to do a bit of a cleanup job on that as well. I'm actually waiting for some new materials to come in the post, so I'll do that later in the week. And then I'm going to show you the results of my cleanup and restoration. Time to put new jackets on the Tom Disch books I bought, and yeah, I got Camp Concentration as well, and I've been curing the leaning spine on that the last couple of days. And I mean, while we're at it, I may as well show you what else I've got here. I have a copy of The Unteleported Man by Philip K. Dick, which my friend Nick gave to me. He had a great haul in the very short pub video from a while ago, and he gave me this because I actually don't have this. I have Lies Inc., which is the full version, and I've seen this many times over the years. This, of course, is the abridged version without the linking material by John Sladek. But I really should have it, and it's in really good nick. He gave me that, which is really great. He got that little haul from a charity shop we both frequent. I'm going to see what I can do with this copy of Goliath. You know, I'm going to put a new cover on that, try and make that more beautiful. And in the post, I received Escape Plans by Gwyneth Jones, which is a book I remember from many moons ago, selling it. And this is Unwin, sort of mid-80s. And the text block is terribly brown. I got it from a bookshop in Ireland. It's quite cheap, but it's not exactly mint. There's a tiny little closed hair at the top there, but I'm going to do what I can to make that beautiful as well. I've got a woefully small space to work in here, so I'm not going to try and attempt to actually film it. Try and attempt, that's what the pastor says in The Man Who Fell to Earth, isn't it, with David Bowie, and I always think that's a tautology, and there I've gone and done it myself. Shocking. This is the jacket of the other dish. There is some spine fading, some chipping there and there, but you know, this is a really uncommon book, and I was able to clean her up a bit. I've covered the jacket in some light sort of laminate and sort of tame that a bit more, and now I'm going to add the actual book, which, as I say, I've had in double rubber bands there for a couple of days, and that, even though the lean is still there, it's not as pronounced as it was. So, and then I'll put that in a comic bag later on, and that'll tighten it a bit more. So that's my two Tom Dishes there, which I purchased the other day. You'll get some shine on this, obviously, silvery jacket, but I'm very pleased with those. Have cured them quite a bit. Say there is still a lean there, but it's much better than it was. And I'll get that bagged and I'll do the band thing again. I'm just going to show you a moment what the prices are for these on ABE. Okay, so just having a look here on ABE, abebooks.co.uk or .com if you're in the States, same site. And if you're not familiar with ABE, I imagine you probably are. This is the professional portal that secondhand sellers use pretty much worldwide, especially for English language books. And this is where I buy stuff. I buy stuff on eBay as well, obviously, and from dealers I know who also trade on here. One tip, if you can find dealers on website, they're usually cheaper than ABE, of course, because AB, obviously, they take a slice of the profit. So, you know, the dealer will try and pass it on to you. Not in all cases, but in most cases. So sorting 334, top to bottom, highest price worldwide. You see there's one for £270 here. And that is signed. Now, mine isn't signed, obviously, but I do have a signed copy of Getting Into Death by Thomas M Disch, which is pretty much mint. And I've had that for, well, at least 20 years, I would say. These are in the States, these ones at the top. This is fine. You can't really see, you know, if you look at the larger image, there it is. As you see, it looks quite similar to the one I've got in terms of the condition. So there you go. And that's the only picture they show. Now, I personally, if I was spending that much money on a book, which I wouldn't be, I would be asking for more pictures. So if you're doing that, here's another one in the USA, £163.26. Obviously, the prices are, you know, adjusted for UK pounds here. This is Hyraxia. I have bought books from Hyraxia. I think I've sold them stuff as well. And they're pretty good. They entered the market fairly recently. They're very high end, and they've got a fine copy at £150. Now, as I say, mine was less than £50. So yeah, and that's looking pretty good. And they are pros, Hyraxia. Yeah, that looks nice. And they've put a nice line, and it does look a bit brighter than mine, so you know, we can't argue with that. So that shows you how much you should probably pay in the UK for a fine one. As I said, I do think Hyraxia tend toward the expensive, and there's one in Swansea at £20. Now this is what I call the Swansea standard. I used to work in Swansea, and even though I've got good friends there, I'm not a great fan of the city, but here you go. Condition fair, no jacket. So that seller image is just a picture of another copy. First hardback, no jacket, ex-library, £20. Well, you know, you can buy a decent paperback of 334 for probably, you know, between 5 and 15 quid. So, you know, why would you do that? But those are the only ones on sale, which is pretty interesting, I thought. Now we'll take a look at Camp Concentration, which preceded 334 by about 5 years. And you see there's no picture there. That's a Doubleday edition. That's signed, inscribed, £204. Then you get one like mine, the Hart Davis one. And this is, again, this is in London, £189. Let's look at the pictures. So let's just bump that there. Okay. And, you know, it's not that dissimilar to mine. So there you go. It is inscribed there and what have you. So fair enough. But in terms of condition, what you're paying for there, I think, really is the sort of signature, really. So go back a bit. We'll see what else comes up. 176 for a fine one in Pasadena. Another one there, no picture. That's the USA. 122, that's the USA. That looks like it's in good nick. No picture here. 122. Then we get a Doubleday one. Now the Doubleday one is probably the world first, but as you go down, you'll notice there's no pictures. Let's see if we can refine that for UK. Let's see if there's any in the UK. UK sellers first. There we go. And so you're looking at £189, or what looks like a French edition there, which is probably in French. So mine was less than £30. So I think that says quite a lot. So it just shows if you shop around and you're diligent, look everywhere you go, you never know what you might find. I popped a bit of shiny clear laminate on Goliath as well, because interestingly, when I took the old cover off, I was expecting the jacket to be laminated itself, with shiny laminate on it, which Collins Books did at that time, and this one didn't. So I don't know whether that was a production fault on this particular copy, or whether they just decided to save some money. And I'm interested that it's not, you know, Granada or Grafton, rather, by that stage it should have been. And as I say, it says in this adventure novel, it's from a science fiction library originally, is where it lived for many years. I think it's a techno-thriller, we'll say. Are techno-thrillers science fiction? Well, that's a point for another time, I would say. And I'll pop that in a bag and tighten up a bit, but there's a limit to what you can do. But I just had to have it because of the Foss cover, because it's an unusual, uncommon book, I think. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that little book hunting trip to Bristol. And as you see, it's not a big haul. It's not always about a big haul. It's about, you know, cherry picking some things which are really good. And of course, luck is involved. You don't know what you're going to find. That 334 had been there for several months. It had been preying on my mind, and I felt I could probably sort of do something with it. I kept looking at the prices online, which, you know, are silly money. It's not worth that. Tom Disch is a very important writer, and his prices will only increase. He's a great critical reputation. very fine writer indeed. He does separate the goats from the sheep. You know, if you enjoy, you know, sort of space operas by Kevin J. Anderson, you know, M Disch is not going to be your thing really, unless you're a very Catholic reader indeed. If you are, that's great. Good luck to you. So there you go. This is Outlaw Bookseller signing out. There will be some more SF videos coming up soon. There's an interview with Tom Toner about Ian Banks. There's the Q&A coming up. There's an unboxing of the Ultravox live album coming. Probably some other stuff as well. So we'll see you soon. Bye for now.